Hi, I'm reading chapters 7 and 8 of The Adventures of a South Pole Pig. I'm starting on page 40 if you want to read along. It was no use. Flora was plopped back in her pen where everyone was huddled together in a corner. Her brothers jumped up and ran over to her, all asking at the same time where she'd been. Flora sprawled in the dirt. "Children, calm down." Mother stepped into the crowd and nosed Flora in the leg, sniffing her gently. "Flora's been in the cornfield," she announced. She sniffed again. "And she had a run-in with dogs. Flora, honey, are you all right? Did they hurt you? What made you run out into that wild world?" Flora took a deep breath and unsteadily got to her hoofs. She watched the man with the beard walk back to their pen with a hammer in hand. I just wanted to look around." Flora wasn't sure if Mother would change from being worried to angry. "I leaned against a board and it broke, so I decided to take a walk." There was a crackling sound. Everyone looked over to see the man toss the broken board into the junk heap. "Children, stay away from the opening." Mother shooed her family into the corner. "Remember, there's nothing but danger and trouble out there." The man dragged a new board over and began nailing it in place. "Did the dogs attack you in the cornfield?" Alfred asked. "They're not attacking dogs," said Flora, "and they don't go into the cornfield. They're pulling dogs." She looked around at the staring eyes. This must be how Luna felt when Flora was looking at her. For the first time in her life, she was the one who had a story to tell. "It happened like this." No one interrupted, and Flora told the truth except for the part where she fell behind. In her story, Flora ran flank to flank with the pulling dogs, her hoofs pounding the road as she matched her running companions, step for galloping step. "That sounds even better than digging up a nail," Alfred said. "You're the bravest pig ever." "A pig needs to be careful, not brave, Alfred," said Mother. "There won't be any more digging up nails, and let's just see how well the farmer fixed the fence." She walked over to the new board and pushed against it with her whole body. Then she turned and faced her children. "It's sufficient, so there won't be any more narrow escapes from packs of running dogs, either. I'm sure Flora understands how close she came to disaster. She won't be so foolish and reckless next time." "Next time," thought Flora. "I can't wait." Flora was excited to tell Luna about her adventure, and her chance came at nap time the following day. "I got out and I went for a run in the wild outside," she said when Luna jumped up on her post. "That's what I heard." Luna wrapped her tail around her feet. "And just how wild was it out there?" "Getting out was amazing," she said. "Actually, I spent most of my time in the cornfield, which is an excellent place for hiding, but the best part was running with the dogs." The tip of Luna's tail twitched. "Were they barking and slobbering and sticking their tongues out all over their faces?" Flora sat down. She remembered now that Luna didn't have nice things to say about dogs. She was right about the tongues and the barking, but Flora also remembered the way their strong legs never gave up, and the blue eyes of the lead dog. She wanted to run with them again. "Why don't you like dogs?" she asked. Luna yawned. "Dogs think cats are useless," which is a lie. They also think cats are lazy, which is true. Cats can't wait to sleep, and dogs can't wait to do stuff. They try too hard. The people who live in the house say that in a couple of months, someone will come along and pay a lot of money for the dogs and take them up to the North Pole, where it is snowy and freezing cold, or down to the South Pole, where it is even colder and truly wild. Meanwhile, I will be spending my days choosing warm places to curl up. Flora had so many questions. She didn't know where to start. What is money? Where is the South Pole? And why do people want to go where it's cold? She stared into Luna's eyes without blinking, so the cat would know she was listening and waiting. Luna started to give herself a bath, but one look at Flora seemed to change her mind. "I can see I won't be talking about anything else until you learn all you can about this North and South Pole business, so I might as well tell you." Flora did a little dance with her front feet. Then she forced herself to be still and quiet, not permitting even one ear twitch or snout tremble. "No food can grow in the poles," started Luna. "No corn, no vegetables, no nothing. But it doesn't matter, because humans, well, some humans, like being where life is difficult and wild." Luna let out a disgusted sniff. "These humans love to go to the poles to be truly miserable so they can come home and tell stories. And the dogs love to go so they can pull a sled every day. These polar sleds carry heavy loads that don't feel heavy once they get moving because they slide along on their runners that are slick and fast. Everyone works hard and works as a team. The ones that don't, die. That's what people say anyway, when they're sitting around the fire at night talking, which is an excellent time for getting good ear rubs." Flora made herself stay silent as Luna talked and talked until the pig family woke up and started nosing around and asking Flora to teach them a new game. "A pulling game," said Alfred. "See you next time." Luna slipped off her post to the other side of the fence. Flora stuck her head up to the crack between the boards so she can see her friend. "Would you come back? Will you tell me more stories about the poles? And do you think I'll ever have another adventure? You just keep up your spirit. Trouble comes to us all. Adventure comes to those who choose it, but turns into trouble quick if you don't know how to land on your feet." That night, Flora dreamed about the freezing cold poles. In her dream, she lived in a house of snow. She shared her stories with her team, and she pulled a sled. In the middle of the night, she woke up and walked to the top of the manure pile to see what had awakened her. A great yellow circle above the cornfield had slipped out from behind the clouds. The moon, it was the first moon Flora had ever seen. Her heart filled with the beauty of it, and she made a promise to herself. "I will be prepared, and I won't live forever inside this pen." Chapter 8. The days gradually cooled, but the fire in Flora's heart didn't. Since her escape, each day at nap time, Flora walked around leaning and pushing against every single fence board as she listened for squeaks and creaks. But it was no use. There weren't any loose planks. The man with the beard had made sure of that. It was hard not to get discouraged. Flora's only brush with adventure these days came from listening to Luna's stories. Luna went in and out of the farmhouse whenever she wanted, paying attention when people talked. She had plenty to report. One time, Luna told Flora that fire was like magic to people. As soon as there was a fire in the fireplace, they would gather around and stare into it. The fire seemed to fill up their heads with memories and words, so many they'd come tumbling out. Flora loved Luna's stories, but she also asked plenty of questions about her own interests. Flora wanted to know about oceans and icebergs, ships and storms. She wanted to know about the ocean's creatures, such as what an octopus looked like. 8 legs? Like a giant underwater spider? Impossible and thrilling. Some days Luna was more talkative than others. On those days, Flora even asked about dogs and sleds. When Luna wasn't around, Flora practiced landing on her feet with a game she introduced to her brothers called Keep Your Hoof Side Down. Everyone was supposed to take turns leaping and twisting in the air and still land standing up. But the game never caught on. Maybe her brothers didn't like the game because they were getting too big. They were all eating solid food from the trough, which made the shoving at mealtime an even muddier struggle. Mother needed her share too, and she was bigger than them all by far. Then one day, the farmer opened a gate at the back of the big pen that had never been opened before. Flora bounded through as soon as she saw what was happening. "We're free," she squealed. Then she noticed that her freedom was just another pen, only smaller. "Never mind, it's still a cage." Flora looked back at her family. Snouts crowded and sniffed at the gate, but no one stepped through. Anyway, Flora said as she started exploring the corners, at least it's new. There has to be stuff to dig up in here. The farmer stepped into the old pen and began to shoo and shove Flora's mother into a new pen. Mother clearly didn't like it. I have a bad feeling about this, children. Hold your ground, and Flora, get back home. Mother locked her knees against the farmer's pushing, and Flora joined her brothers in milling around Mother's legs. But when the farmer stepped out and returned with a stick, Mother and all her children surged into the new pen. It's okay, at least we're together. Flora started running her nose close to the ground along the fence line. The best way to know where to dig is to use your snout. At least that's my plan. Look who else has a plan, said Mother. Flora glanced up to see the farmer tying Mother to the fence with a rope around her neck. Mama, screeched Flora, what's happening? She rushed up to her mother. Pull away. Break the rope. Mother pulled, but neither the rope nor the fence gave an inch. I'm stuck, children, she called. Stay close to me. Flora and her brothers crowded around her legs. The farmer walked through the open gate to the old pen and poured a bucket of delicious slops into the trough. They not only heard it, they smelled it too. Dinner, squealed the brothers, and they went dashing home to eat. Come back, Flora yelled. Children, Mother pulled against her rope again. Don't leave my side, it's a trick. Alfred stopped at the entrance. He looked back and forth, then seemed to make up his mind. I'm hungry, he whined. I'll come right back. Flora could hear the slurping and pushing. You guys are so dumb, she hollered. She rubbed against Mother the way Luna would rub against her. Just then the farmer stepped back inside the new pen and closed the gate. He moved toward Flora. Run, Flora, called Mother. Flora backed in under Mother's belly instead. Large hands reached in and grabbed one of Flora's rear legs. Get away, Flora! Mother pushed against the hands with her body, but the farmer easily dragged Flora out, picked her up, and dumped her with her brothers. They had finished eating and now stood sniffing at the dividing fence. Mama, Alfred cried. Why did they take you away? He hit the fence with his little hoofs. I need you. You don't need me, honey. Now stop making all that fuss. Alfred dropped to the ground and put his snout under the gate. Flora nudged his shoulder. It's okay, she whispered, and tried to make her snout stop quivering. Mother put her front feet on the fence and looked over at her children. You're untied. Flora tried to reach Mother's face, but she was too short. Yes, I am, said Mother, and you are all big enough to be on your own now. Alfred whimpered. Anyway, I'm right next to you. Mama, Flora said, her voice wavering. Why did they do that? Why did they move you? Mother dropped back down. Listen carefully, children. We are farm pigs, and farm pigs are not in control of their lives. Our food is brought to us each day, and if we ask for more than that, it will just make us unhappy and ill-tempered. Flora led Alfred over to the trough to find a comforting morsel. It was cleaned out except for a bit of pumpkin that had fallen down between the trough and fence. Once he was done eating the snack and had fallen asleep for his nap, Flora climbed the manure pile to think about Mother's words. When Luna came to visit, Flora had extra questions. Why aren't farm pigs in control of their lives? She asked as soon as Luna was settled. Luna looked at Flora and twitched her tail. You look as though you've been thinking about this pretty hard. What happened? Mama got moved out of our pen. Flora stamped her feet. Why do dogs and cats get to be in control of their lives and pigs don't? Luna shook her head. Dogs make me jump into trees, and horses and cows will step on me if I'm not careful. I never know where my next meal is going to come from. But you get to listen to stories, and dogs get to have adventures. Dogs live at the ends of ropes and leashes and harnesses, yet nobody is happier than a slobbery dog. The trick is to have some control, enough so that your life is satisfying, and bang! A terrific thump shook the ground. Luna flew off her post and out of sight. Flora turned in circles trying to figure out where the sound had come from. Her brothers were awake now and wide-eyed. Bang! It sounded like the farmer's hammer, only much louder. It seemed to be coming from the horse stalls on the other side of the shed. Flora had almost forgotten about Nessie because she was such a quiet horse, but not today. Flora tried to see what was happening through the shadows of the shed. "Mama!" Alfred called out. "Children," called Mother, "go to the far corner and stay there. Nessie is having a tantrum." Flora stayed where she was. This she really wanted to see. She gazed harder into the shadows. Human shouts came from the cornfield, and 2 men came running. "Open the stall door before she hurts herself," one of them called out. Flora watched the broken gate swing open. As Nessie was backed out, her powerful hind legs struck high, breathtaking kicks that looked as though they could bring the barn down if they connected. One of the men tossed a blanket over her head, and suddenly she went quiet. Flora heard him murmuring in a low voice. The other man checked out the gate. Flora ran down the manure pile. "Mama, what was Nessie trying to do?" "Oh, honey," Mother said. The brothers gathered around to listen. "I heard that Nessie doesn't like being in that stall for too long, and when she feels forgotten, her mean streak flares up." Flora's brothers went back to their naps, but Flora took a seat on the manure pile and wondered at the power of those kicks and the feelings that inspired them.